Good evening and thanks for joining us. After weeks of illegal blockades of railway lines in support of a group of Wet'suwet'en hereditary chiefs, there's still no resolution in sight. There is an offer on the table, though, to meet one of their demands. The RCMP have offered to leave their outpost on a road in Wet'suwet'en territory, the one where arrests took place earlier this month, as long as that road remains clear. The federal government hopes it clears the way for a peaceful resolution.
Everyone wants to take the air out of this balloon in the most controlled way. The problem is most people are coming up with us with a pin, and that isn't the right solution.
You got what you wanted? You're leaving? So we should not blockade this route.
Right now, there is no solution, just growing anger. This blockade is on the main line between Quebec City, Montreal, and the U.S. It's blocking via passenger trains and CN freight trains. CN did get an injunction today to dismantle it, and Quebec's premier says police will act on it.
This is ridiculous. It's not the same as blocking in Kanesatake or on a First Nations land. You're blocking the major artery to get into our city.
And in BC, a blockade has been set up east of Kamloops on land belonging to the Nesconlith Band. It's affecting CP rail lines. The RCMP are on the scene there. The other development today involves a group of Wet'suwet'en hereditary chiefs who have traveled from northern BC to southern Ontario. They're the ones who object to the natural gas pipeline going through their territory. A sharp contrast to the other chiefs and elected band councils who support it. We'll get to all of that in just a moment, but first, Eric Sorensen on what, if any, progress was made today.
2 weeks after arrests in BC triggered Indigenous standoffs across the country, the RCMP have offered to leave their outpost on the Wet'suwet'en territory and pull back to their detachment in Houston, BC, if the entire service road area stays open. A breakthrough?
They've listened to the concerns that were raised by the hereditary chiefs and by the community, and I think they've responded in a very appropriate way.
For the government, it would be a welcome opening as a way to end the blockades that have paralyzed rail transportation in parts of the country.
These are opportunities to come to a peaceful resolution, which is what we've always aimed for from the beginning.
The RCMP pullout is a core demand of the Wet'suwet'en hereditary chiefs. One band member, part of an earlier formal RCMP complaint, reacted to the potential pullback with skepticism.
I do not believe it, and I won't believe it until literally they have moved out. In Wet'suwet'en territory, we've had a pretty long history of poor treatment by the RCMP.
What remains unclear is the level of support among the Wet'suwet'en for the protests versus those for the Coastal GasLink project. Some don't support the blockade.
The blockades across Canada are not helping. They are further dividing our country. They're further dividing Indigenous peoples and non-Indigenous peoples.
The federal Conservatives have taken a hard line. They believe the protesters are now being rewarded.
So what concessions is this government contemplating to the lawbreakers, and how much more lawbreaking does this government plan to encourage?
The Trudeau government's tone is very different.
We understand on this side of the House that reconciliation remains a priority not just for our government but for all Canadians.
A separate question is the precedent it would set. If the RCMP, the frontline police force, steps back, what would it mean for the pipeline project, and under what conditions would the RCMP step back in? Eric Sorensen, Global News, Toronto.
Every day the blockades remain in place, the more the frustration builds. And now the Wet'suwet'en hereditary chiefs at the heart of this impasse have gone south to join the blockade on the Tyendinaga Mohawk territory in Ontario. It's causing mass disruptions to Canadian rail traffic. Global's Mike Couteur is in Tyendinaga today. Mike, what do we know about what the Wet'suwet'en hereditary chiefs are doing there?
Well, Donna, we're hearing that the Wet'suwet'en hereditary chiefs are spending 2 days with the Mohawks here, and then they'll be spending 2 days in Kahnawake to spend time with members of that community. And the goal of this trip is to thank them for their support and solidarity, but also to chart a path forward. The report suggests Friday will start with a tobacco burning at sunrise at the Mohawk Council House here on the territory. And then At 10 a.m., there'll be a meeting with the local council to discuss what are being called political issues. Media and police are being told to stay away from that session, while all other Mohawks are welcome. Now, as for here in Tyendinaga, the people camped out at the rails seem ready to stay for as long as it takes. Now, we tried to speak with the demonstrators to get a sense of how they are feeling, and you can tell that tensions are running high, as we were told in no uncertain terms that they didn't want to talk to us, and we were to return where the rest of the media have been observing for weeks. Now, it's a sharp contrast to even a few days ago when they were more open. And that's perhaps an indication of where we are in this standoff, as all sides are hoping for a resolution and are frustrated that one hasn't come yet. Now, we did see people coming and going over the course of the day, and many of them bringing food and coffee to the demonstrators, just like these two twin sisters from a neighboring town.
Well, it's not really a blockade. No, they've never blocked the track. It's just Indigenous people trying to get other people to understand that they have rights that have been trampled on for centuries.
Now, the sisters who have been coming here on nearly a daily basis tell us that the Mohawks are in good spirits, but like everyone, they hope that this comes to a peaceful resolution as soon as possible. Donna?
Couture in Tyendinaga Territory in Ontario, thanks.